SBA does not lend directly. We lend through a variety of lending institutions and community banks and credit unions that help us to provide that capital to our small business community. So as you look at your procurement opportunities, as you're looking to grow your business, think about the capital that you're going to need to service these contracts. Think about the capital you're going to need to expand and pivot your business right now, and leverage the resources that we have at our small business development centers to help you pivot, whether that's helping you readjust your scheduling so you can do more things remotely. If you're a professional service organization, or if you're in manufacturing, you may need to reset up your manufacturing floor so that you're being socially distant and making sure you're protecting your employees, your customers, and obviously your families. And so with that, I don't want to take up too much of your time this morning. I am just really excited to be here. I'm excited that we persevered, as we always do in Southern California, to make sure that we have this great event. I know this is an annual event that I personally look forward to, and really appreciate all of you taking your time from your busy schedules to be a part of this. This is very beneficial. It looks like you have a full agenda full of great resources and folks that can help you on the procurement side of the house. And just remember that SBA can help you throughout this entire process in partnership with all the great folks that are going to be taking out. So have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Victor. Again, another little virtual round of applause. So moving on to our next speaker. Our next distinguished speaker is Dr. Noel Hacegaba, Deputy Executive Director for the Port of Long Beach. And he's going to talk today about how to do business with the Port of Long Beach. Dr. Noel Hacegaba is responsible for managing the day-to-day administrative and operating functions of the port, including finance, human resources, real estate, business development, operations, and security. Welcome, Dr. Hacegaba, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Danielle. It's a pleasure to be here. We appreciate a longstanding partnership and relationship with the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. In the past, we've actually hosted this conference when we were allowed to do so in person. And as you said, Danielle, unfortunately, we can't give you a tour of our port. However, on the next slide, the next best thing is I can show you an aerial photograph of our beautiful port. And the reason I highlight this is because the Port of Long Beach is not only the nation's second largest seaport, but our activity that takes place on the docks every single day to support the supply chain and help move goods from Asia into the interior of the US generates a lot of economic activity. Virtually every industry is supported in some way through port activity and supply chain movements. And so we see ourselves not just as a community partner and a facilitator of trade, but also as a business partner. And we certainly are very interested and have been for many, many years in seeing how we can leverage this massive economic engine to generate jobs and also spur business activity. So this is important for us, and this is why we appreciate this opportunity to join you today. I'm going to take just a few moments to walk you through some of the programs that we have in place to support small businesses in our community, and give you a bird's eye view into how you can participate and take advantage of some of these opportunities as well. And I want to begin with probably what's most pertinent to all of you. We have a vendor portal, and if you haven't visited that, certainly encourage you to do that as soon as possible. It's available on our website. It's polb.com/SBE, as you see on the slide. And it's a wonderful way to get your business added to our registry. It's free. The registration is free, and your profile is maintained 24/7. You will also be receiving, as part of that registration, any news and updates that are being generated through our opportunities and this portal. I also want to talk next, if you go on to the next slide, if you're curious about what this looks like, this is what you'll see when you get onto our vendor portal. And as you can see, there's a variety of different options, different windows. It's very robust, and this is something that we've improved over the years. Very proud to offer this to the business community. And I can tell you that many small businesses that currently do business with the port are very, certainly very appreciative of this portal. Let me talk a little bit more about some of these programs on the next slide. I'll walk you through how we manage the bid and proposal opportunities that are facilitated through this portal. This portal obviously receives these automatic bid notifications. You as a registrant can search bids, all the bids that are currently registered in the portal. And there's also an opportunity for you to ask questions, and receive answers in real time. There's a whole bunch of other information as well that is intended to give you the widest view into some of these opportunities and how you may position yourself to take advantage of some of these opportunities as well. Let me get now into some of the programs that I mentioned at the beginning. The Port of Long Beach promotes and participates in 2 business programs intended to increase small business participation. And one of them is what we call the SBE, or the Small Business Enterprise Program. And this program encourages, by its title and its name, it encourages small businesses and very small business enterprises to take advantage of all our contracts. And since inception of the program, the Port of Long Beach has awarded more than $500 million in contracts to SBEs, VSBEs, everything from construction contracts, professional services, and everything in between. And since that time, our Board of Harbor Commissioners, thanks to their leadership, has set a goal of 27%. That means that there must be at least a 27% annual participation rate for SBEs and VSBEs. And I'm proud to say that for the last fiscal year, we actually exceeded that goal and registered a participation rate of SBEs to the tune of 33%. So certainly very proud of that. And this is, again, shows how committed we are as an organization to help make these opportunities available to the SBE community. Obviously, in order to get the word out, we have an SBE program. It's led by Sashi. Many of you know Sashi. He's the face of the port as it relates to our SBE VSBA program. He does a great job and has developed tremendous relationships with many of your organizations. And certainly, if you have any questions or any follow-up items you wish to discuss with him, I would certainly encourage you to reach out to Sashi. I'd like to take you now to the next slide. Some of you might be wondering, well, how do I know if I qualify as an SBE? Well, you must be independently owned and operated, as I assume many of you are. You must also be a legally established form of business, whether it's an LLC or a corporation. And the size standards are based on NAICS codes. And as you can see there on the slide, for a general contractor, it's anything from 39.5 million and below. And for specialty trade contractors is anywhere from 60.5 million and below. Let me talk next about the next program. So I mentioned at the beginning that we have 2 formal programs that promote participation of SBEs. The next one is the VSBE program. And we follow the micro business definition that is typically followed. Gross sales here are at $5 million a year or less over the last 3 tax years. And for manufacturers with 25 employees or less is another requirement. I'm going to skip over to the next couple of slides. You'll see on the slide here that monitoring compliance is a critical piece of participation in these programs. SB and VSB substitutions are subject to written approval. I mean, there's a whole host of guidelines and requirements that we certainly encourage you to follow up on prior to participating. But I want to now transition to the DBE program. And this is a disadvantaged business enterprise program. And this is another program that we have put out, also led by Sashi. And this is a program that targets specifically those entities that qualify for this classification. And again, I just want to end on a high note, and again, thank the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and really all of you for this opportunity to tell you more about how we as a Port Authority are committed to driving up business opportunities for the business community here again. So thanks again for the time, and I wish you all a safe and cool weekend.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. There was a question, and I think you did answer it, but it says, it was mentioned that Port of Long Beach accepts certifications for SBE. Is certification as DBE also required to work with Port of Long Beach?
That's correct. Yes.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of our speakers for giving us that great information. We are now going to transition over to the panel portion of today's conference. And our panel is going to talk about how to leverage the procurement process to support Southern California businesses. So with that being said, I will invite our panelists to, if you would like to turn on your video. But this morning we are so incredibly lucky to be joined by our all-female panel. And you can cue Beyonce in the background for that. We have 6 distinguished powerhouse women today who are here and eager to share some of their knowledge in the procurement space with us. So I myself will be moderating the panel, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to give each of the panelists about 7 to 8 minutes to introduce themselves. They have very brief PowerPoints to go over, and then I'm going to pose one specific question to each panelist to answer. So again, if you do have questions for each of the panelists, please drop it in the Q&A and make sure you address who the question is for. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. Just a little bit about the project that I'm on, and then I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of the panelists. So I am here today, again, my name is Danielle Lew. I am here today on behalf of LINXS, LINXS, which stands for the LIX Integrated Express Solutions JV team. And if you could advance to the next slide, please, Vanessa. That is actually a rendering of the automated people mover project at LAX. And just a little bit about the project, which I'm sure you all have heard about and hopefully you're very excited about. It is one of several large projects that's going to be constructed at LAX in the next few years as part of a very large modernization program of the airport. So this specifically is the automated people mover, and you can see that rendering there. That's what it's supposed to look like. The developer, again, is LINXS, who is the JV team that I am here representing. Very quick facts about the APM project. It's a 2.25 mile elevated guideway, taking around 200 passengers per train with luggage. 10 minutes end to end, and that's also going to include stops at additional parking facility, a consolidated car rental facility, and the metro stop. It's going to be running every 2 minutes. It will be free to ride, and this is a public-private partnership, or a P3 partnership. And next slide, please. All right, so certification requirements. So I'm not going to go through and read all of these, but just so that you know, our project accepts 4 types of certifications. And that's SBE, LBE, LSBE, which is local small business, which means you have to be certified as a local and a small business, and then DVBE. And right now we're in the construction phase of the project. So the design work has been completed, but construction is still underway, and the project is slated to be completed in 2023. And if you do have more questions about what agencies are accepted by this project, you can actually go to Lawwise Business Inclusivity Programs website, and I left that there at the bottom. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this is just a very quick snapshot of the procurement process. And again, because I'm here on behalf of a project, we don't have necessarily a database like some of the other government agencies that are on today. So it's really just myself that monitors all of those inquiries. So this is the email that you're going to want to jot down. It's opportunities@linxscjv.com, and shoot me an email there, and I can get you information on the project. We can get you added to our email distribution list, so on and so forth. But this is basically how our procurement process works. It's nothing groundbreaking. We send out notices to our certified firm community. We give them information as much as we can about the scope. They respond back and say, hey, I'm interested. We give that list to the contracts team. The contracts team reviews it, decide who they want to invite to bid. They invite the bids to come in, they review the bids, they award the contract, and then there's an opportunity for a debrief afterwards if you are not awarded. So this is kind of for the first tier contracts. I will say for lots of certified firms, you know, lower tier is perhaps the way to go. So don't be afraid to reach out to me and ask about lower tier opportunities as well. All right, and next slide. And just so that you know, this is where we post our upcoming opportunities and our events. Everything goes up on the website, which is LALinks.com. And again, if you are a certified firm and you're somehow not receiving our emails, please shoot me an email. We'll make sure we get you added, but we do send out a lot of communication on behalf of the project, maybe too much, I don't know, but we like to keep our community informed. And so once you sign up for that email list, you will be invited to all of our events, our virtual workshops. You'll hear about all of our project updates. We send out once a month newsletters, and of course, our procurement opportunities. And RHCC as well is one of our partners. So that's why we are here in support of them. And we also are including them on our email list as well. So if you're a member, hopefully you'll have seen some of our notifications that have gone out. And that's about it. So with that, again, I invite you all, if you're interested in the project, to please shoot me an email. We'll get you on the list. And that's it for myself. So we're going to go ahead and kick off the introductions for the panelists. Lucky number one, we have Miss Danetta Jackson here from the California Department of General Services. Ms. Jackson is the Outreach Program Manager for the State of California Department of General Services, or DGS, as we all know and love it by, the Office of Small Business and Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Services. So Danetta, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself. And the question that we're posing here for you is if you could please share with us what suppliers need to do in order to do business with the state.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. And I want to acknowledge all the ladies who have joined me on this awesome panel. Again, I'm Danetta Jackson, the Business Outreach Program Manager with the State of California Department of General Services, known as DGS. DGS, we are the business manager for the State of California with more than 3,000 employees and budget in excess of $1 billion. Our department, we help California state government better serve the public by providing innovative procurement and acquisition solutions for state agencies and promoting California small business and disabled veteran-owned businesses. So as a business, you should know, number one, that Cal eProcure is the state's online portal for businesses. It is a one-stop shop for registration, certification, and contracting opportunities. Cal eProcure is also where businesses can look for current bid solicitations, research the state's contracts, and find information on the state's past procurements. I welcome and encourage all types of businesses to register on Cal eProcure and take advantage of the free certification if eligible. Why should you become certified with the state? Well, because California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and we spend approximately $8 to $10 billion annually. And 25% of that spend is with small businesses and 3% with disabled veteran business enterprises. This translates to more than $2.5 billion spent statewide with California small businesses and $400 million with disabled veteran business enterprises. The state of California wants small businesses and DVBEs to succeed outside of just contracting with the state. DGS has a reciprocity program with local governments, municipalities, transit districts, school districts, and utility companies that recognize the state's small business and or DVBE certifications. There are currently more than 30 of these reciprocity partners, which are listed on DGS's website. For example, the City of Long Beach, Port of Long Beach, City and County of Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Unified School District, and the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, to name a few, are all reciprocity partners with the state. Unfortunately, the state isn't able to accept other government entity certifications. And this is one of the reasons why the state has an outreach program, which also focuses on building more reciprocity partners to accept the state certification to make the process less cumbersome for small businesses. Next slide, please. Here is a snapshot of our, as I mentioned before, the spending, what we spend each year, our goals, and why it pays to get certified. and the products and services the state buys. We buy just about everything, as you can see, construction, food, IT equipment, so, and much more. Next slide, please. Here is a snapshot of our 3 certifications. We have a small business certification, a small business for public works, and a disabled veteran business enterprise certification. So as long as your business is independently owned and operated, and your gross annual receipts don't exceed 15 million over 3 tax periods, you can qualify for our small business certification. And please note that businesses with a small business certification are already eligible for the public works projects and should not apply for the SBPW certification. We're expanding our outreach into webinars to help businesses across the state to connect with business opportunities, and information onto how to access webinars is on our caliprocure.ca gov website under news and events. And lastly, I'd like to let everyone know that we are creating a database of small businesses and DVBEs willing and able to respond to emergency contracts. As we know, over the past few years, emergencies in California have shown us the importance of having an abundance of businesses ready and prepared for emergency contracting. And this includes all small businesses, disabled veteran businesses, and any underrepresented business group. So again, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. And if you have any questions, this is a reminder to please send them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you, and I turn it back over to Danielle.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Danetta.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our second panelist, and that is Ms. Jennifer Trotter of Burns & McDonnell. Ms. Trotter is the Business Diversity California Manager and Senior Public Involvement Specialist for Burns & McDonnell, an infrastructure services firm and general contractor. In this role, she leads the public involvement and supplier diversity initiatives throughout California. So Jennifer, I will let you take it away.
Thank you, Danielle. And you can go to the next slide, please. Typically in person, I ask the question, how many of you are familiar with Burns & McDonnell? Ask for a raise of hands. Today I don't have that luxury. I got Danielle. So I'm going to go pretty broad and just describe Burns & McDonnell. As Danielle mentioned, we're an infrastructure company and a general contractor. We have approximately 7,600 professionals, and that's a worldwide count. Predominantly in the United States. We were created in 1898 and have had continuous operations since then, really focusing on heavy civil construction and design work out of the 55 offices we have throughout the world. We're consistently top ranked as a design firm, top 5%. And one of the things that we're really proud of is our 100% employee ownership model, which in turn really leads to our high retention rate when it comes to our clients and customers, as well as our vendors. We had that commitment to create amazing for our clients, and part of that we can't do without our small and diverse subcontract partners. Next slide. So we're located throughout the country, I mentioned. In California, we have 4 different offices, but being an employee owner company, we're pretty great at connecting folks throughout the country for different opportunities and projects as well. So I wanted to make sure to give you that sort of breadth. And if you have an office in California or looking for work in California, feel free to contact us. But also, if any of these other markets pique your interest, please don't hesitate to contact us as well. Next slide. So what does infrastructure mean to us, and where are our sweet spots? We often ask our suppliers, what are you best at? And we want to give you that same courtesy. we're really strong in the utility industry. We work with all the investor-owned utilities and power and utilities in the state, including San Diego Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, SoCal Gas, and PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, doing both transmission, distribution, substation, and a myriad of other type of power and electrical, both on the power and the gas side. On the civil engineering side, commissioning, we're consistently ranked #1 in that as well, with an E and R, as well as MEP and fire protection design. So for those facilities, whether it is a high-rise or a airport hangar, or even government offices, California Military Department and others, those are some of our strengths here in California and across the company. And we're looking for partners that have similar strengths that can complement the work that we sell to our customers and clients. And lastly, renewable energy. Wind is listed. We also do quite a bit of work in solar and a little bit in hydro as well. And telecommunications, that both underground and overhead is a spot that we're particularly keen to continue working in, and looking for those design partners that can support that work, as well as in distribution. So big shout out for those of any suppliers out there providing distribution and telecom services. That's definitely a big need of ours. Next slide. If you're not already registered with our company, please feel free to go to our website. It's there's a link below on the screen, but it's burnsmcd.com, and on the right-hand corner, there's 3 bars where you can click for suppliers and get to our registry system. This is sort of the gate to do business. All of our subcontractors, regardless of size or certification, are required to register in our in our supplier registry system, as well as reach out to myself. You can reach out in the chat if you have a specific question, and we can move from there and identify what sort of opportunities there may be. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Jennifer. So I think you covered this a little bit in your presentation, but the question that we had specifically for you was if you could give everyone here an overview of the opportunities that Burns and McDonnell has forthcoming, and how does it work for a small business when they want to do business with your organization? I think you mentioned registering, and then posting and looking at the opportunities online, but if you can maybe go into a little bit more detail on that, and then as well as what opportunities you have coming up.
Certainly. So Burns McDonnell takes a proactive stance to supplier inclusion, and we really like to get to know our suppliers, understand their capabilities, quality, experience. Safety is very important to us in advance of the RFP, in advance of the RFQ, or whatever that solicitation document is. So that's why myself, I attend these sort of events and participate, so that we have that entryway in for suppliers, new suppliers, to get to know our project managers and our buyers. We have a decentralized buying process where our project managers and department managers are responsible for buying, and particularly on the design side, we don't necessarily have a bid portal that we use. So we have a database of suppliers, and we like to use that database, and we like to build those relationships. If you're interested in doing work with us, please reach out to me directly. I'm happy to get to know you and understand your capabilities, and understand who is the best person within our organization to connect you with, and can talk about what sort of services you may be able to provide.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much. All right. So it looks like we are doing good on time. We are doing good on questions. So let's go ahead and move on to our third panelist. Our third panelist this morning is Ms. Kelly Irving of Long Beach Transit. A self-proclaimed inclusionista, we love that, Kelly looks forward to enhancing efforts to further Long Beach Transit's engagement and contracting success with our region's DBEs and small businesses, ensuring that they are a part of smart mobility initiatives for years to come. So Kelly, I will let you take it away with your PowerPoint, and then I will go ahead and ask you your specific question once you are through with that. And Kelly, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay. All right. And thank you so much to the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Again, my name is Kelly Irving, and I bring you greetings from our Long Beach Transit Board of Directors under the leadership of Colleen Bentley, our CEO, Kenneth McDonnell, and our Deputy CEO, Deborah Johnson, in addition to our executive leadership team. I want you to focus on this slide for 3 seconds. The Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is a very key and important and vital partner for Long Beach Transit. We are looking for vendors that can help us in our mission that are making everyday life better. I want you to focus on my first name because I want everyone to be able to know me on first name basis. I'm Kelly Irving. I am the Regulatory Compliance and Civil Rights Officer, but I want you to focus on the first name. Kinetic, energy, energize, leader, leveraging inclusion and equity. That's what I commit to you as members of the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You are my partner. Next slide. Again, Kelly Irving, and today is my presentation to engage you to do business with Long Beach Transit. Next slide. Okay. I would like to share with you my agenda, which I will present to you. I'm going to give you at a glance of what exactly is Long Beach Transit. We know it's a transit agency. However, we actually want to know what is it that makes Long Beach Transit move and what is it that we do for our customers. I also like to talk to you about our procurement process, more importantly, our DBE and our SBE programs, and then also talk to you about who I am. And I am your DBE, SBE internal advocate. Next slide. Okay, so Long Beach Transit, our mission is dedicated to connecting communities and moving people, making everyday life better. That's where vendors such as yourself come in. We need you. Next slide. We are a transit agency of 250 buses, 35 routes, servicing 13 cities. In 2019, over 23 million customers boarded our system. We are 100% mobility device accessible, and we offer special services such as Dial-a-Lift, a special route to LA Galaxy, the LA Chargers Express, Museum Express, and also the UCLA Commuter Express. Next slide. We are 89% alternatively fueled fleet. We have 125 CNG buses, 88 hybrids, and 10 battery electric buses. We are TAP friendly, we are eco-friendly, and that is designed to improve the transit experience. We are energy conservation, which includes energy efficient lighting and off-peak equipment charging. We are moving to zero emissions by 2025. Next slide. We also have water taxis. We have 2 Aquabus vessels, we have 2 Aqualink vessels, and we have docks at the Long Beach Harbor, Queen Mary, Pine Avenue Circle, and the Aquarium and the Shoreline Village. Next slide. We connect Long Beach and beyond. We have routes to connect to LA Metro, Orange County Transit Authority, and other regional operators. Customers can use an interagency transfer that can be easily loaded onto their TAP card. And roughly 800,000 residents live within 1/4 mile of Long Beach Transit bus stops. Next slide. So I've just explained to you who we are as an agency. It is my goal to help you understand how you can tap into this economic engine and be part of delivering excellent service by moving people. I would like to bring your attention to our Long Beach Transit annual budget. If there's anything I can recommend to any small business that's looking to do business with an agency or a company that is publicly traded, is to understand and navigate their budget. The annual budget is going to talk about where the monies are going to be spent in the upcoming year. In order to navigate the budget, go to the department that typically your services will provide goods, services, or professional services. Look at that particular department's budget. It is in that budget that you can determine whether or not there's an opportunity coming up for you in the near future. What that will help you do is to build your pipeline. One of the things I strongly encourage for small business men and women to do is to understand where their next contract is coming from. Not necessarily the current contract, but where is the next contract coming from, so that you can build your links, so that you have continuity of financial bottom line budget. You need to be able to know where your next opportunity is coming from. So I recommend to you to go to the budget. The next thing you would need to know is understand, what do we procure? We procure professional services, construction-related services, goods, and supplies. All of these things centered around our bus operations. So we are not a bus and rail, we're strictly bus at this point. And also we have water vessels. So all of our opportunities pertain to one of these three categories relative to bus operations. Our third recommendation is to register on Planet Bids to monitor your RFPs, or RFQs, and IFBs. These are, the Planet Bid is our formal platform where we advertise and create the awareness of our upcoming contracting opportunities. Another very important aspect is to make sure you attend pre-proposals and job walks. It is during these particular face-to-face or Zoom meetings that you're able to identify your competition and or your partners. So with that being said, I want you to understand these four major steps in order to access opportunities at Long Beach Transit. Next slide. So we have two major funding sources. We are federally funded through FTA, and when we are federally funded, that requirement for taking those dollars requires us to have an active DBE program. This DBE program, whether or not our project is funded with $1 of federal funds, we are to look at that opportunity for any opportunities for the disadvantaged business enterprise certified community. And I'm very, very aggressive when it comes to establishing goals, utilization goals with our federally funded projects with DBE requirement. Our second program is the Long Beach Transit Small Business Enterprise Program, which you typically will find on our state and local funded projects. There too, I'm very aggressive when it comes to looking at contracting opportunities and the scope of work to identify whether or not some of these scopes of work can be fulfilled by small business enterprises. With that, I want to encourage you to understand the nuances of the DBE and SBE program, because understanding these programs can help fuel your marketing and your sales pitch to either the prime and or, more importantly, to actually set you up so that you yourself can be a prime, even if you are a smaller business. Next slide. I would like for you to understand that I, Kelly Irving, remember, kinetic, energized leader, leveraging inclusion and equity, I am your internal advocate. I'm fighting for you to have a seat at the table, for you to be a regular at the table, and I'm fighting and advocating for you to be part of our overall small and local business utilization. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kelly. I think that was a wonderful presentation, lots of great information. We are at your 8 minutes, so I'm actually going to hold on the question and if we have time after, so that we can give everyone else enough time to speak. But thank you so much, Kelly, and hopefully all of you were able to grab her contact information and follow up afterwards if you would like to do that. All right, so let's move on to our next panelist. We have Miss Olga Lopez from Metro, who I'm sure many of you know. As a spokesperson for DEOD, Olga is responsible for hosting and participating in numerous outreach events where she aims to increase awareness of contract opportunities available through Metro. At these events, small business owners learn about vendor requirements, certification processes, contract opportunities, engage in networking with other small business owners and large contractors, and they develop relationships with Metro. So Olga, the question for you is, what methods does Metro practice to promote greater opportunities for SBEs, and what is your certification process? And Olga, I think you're on mute still. I see your lips moving.
Yes, yes.
Perfect, there you go.
I think I had already finished my presentation until I realized the mute button. My apologies. Good morning, Danielle, and thank you for the opportunity to join Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce membership this morning. If you will allow me, I would like to provide very brief greetings in Spanish before I begin my presentation. If you will allow me, please, here I go. Buenos días a todos y gracias en especial a Sandy Cajas, que sabemos que está participando esta mañana. Hola, Sandy. Gracias por esta oportunidad de ser parte en tan importante conferencia y aportar en ampliar las contrataciones para las empresas del sur de California como su representante de Metro. Thank you. I'm here on behalf of Metro's Diversity and Economic Opportunity Department, the DEOD outreach team, as Danielle mentioned. And I'm here to reiterate that you have friends on the inside, and my team wanted me to convey this message to you. Next slide, please. What we do, we have the responsibility of opening the door for small business participation. Again, we are your friends and your advocates for small business. We also serve as your system navigators. Metro is in business, and we need small businesses to be in business with us. And that's a lot of business. Why do we need you? Well, because once this pandemic is over, there is going to be a rush of capital projects that will need to be built. And we need the small businesses to be ready. How do you stay ready? I encourage you to visit Metro's vendor portal to learn more about all of the services and the programs that we offer. The vendor portal can be accessed at metro.net/connect. Next slide, please. Every second Tuesday of the month, I host a virtual How to Do Business with Metro workshop. During this workshop, we discuss Metro Small Business Prime program. The program provides a groundbreaking opportunities for small business enterprise, SBEs, to compete as primes and only against other SBEs for projects that meet the threshold criteria of $3,000 to $5 million is who you will get to compete under the SB Prime program. To date, over $125 million has been awarded through Metro's Small Business Prime program since its launch in 2014. We also have a medium-sized business enterprise. We call this MSZ. If businesses, this is specifically for businesses who graduate out of the SBE and the DBE program. We set aside, this is a new set aside that bridges the gap between small business and large business concerns. This applies to non-federally funded RFP who competitively negotiated procurements, RFPs we look for supplies, equipment, materials, and services that are between 12 million and 30 million. How does this program work? Well, Metro invites firms of any size to bid or propose under the MSC program. If we receive 2 or more firms who are responsive and as MSC bidders, that will trigger a set aside. And if we receive less than 2 bidders, that solicitation that is open to all it's open to all. Next slide, please. I was asked to share with Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce membership Metro's method and practice to promote greater opportunities for SBEs and to speak to Metro certification process. And the next 2 slides are going to address this question. As I previously mentioned, all of Metro's contracting opportunities are included in our vendor portal. There, you will have an opportunity to access an online toolkit that we have made available for our small business community. This toolkit is a great resource guide where you will learn to navigate and you will learn how to do business with Metro processes. Metro, as many of you know, is the leading agency that we are the leading agency that now offers an online certification process. And you may be wondering, why should I get certified? Well, what we like to share with our small business community is that small business certifications, similar to professional certifications, document a spatial capability or a status that will help you compete in the marketplace. It also increases your visibility to prime contractors. And I know that we have several primes on this call. I was looking at our participation list a few minutes ago. Prime contractors are required to meet SBE or DBE utilization goals. As a certified firm, you are critical to the prime contractors towards successfully meeting these goals. Lastly, it levels the playing field by providing small businesses who are owned and controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals a fair opportunity to compete for federally and non-federally funded transportation contracts. If you are interested in beginning your online certification, I urge you to visit our website. It is metro.gov2g.com. Let me repeat, metro.gov2g.com. This online certification will allow you to go on your own pace and you can begin your process there. If you have any questions, you are also encouraged to send an email to the certification unit at metro.net. Please visit our vendor portal. You will have an opportunity to join Metro's small business vendor registration and access to Metro certified SBE DBE database. Next slide. Metro's vendor portal includes information about our calendar events, our signature events, and small business specialty workshops that we host throughout the year. Again, next slide, please. If you learn more about Metro Connect, we host virtual events. Please, again, visit our vendor portal, metro.net/connect. If you are not certified, please note next Wednesday, August 26th, we're going to host a virtual certification workshop. That workshop begins at 10 a.m. and we are going to provide you all the required information and walk you through the process of becoming a certified vendor. And lastly, if you need to reach me, I am reached via email at lopezo@metro.net for any questions. Rest assured that if I don't know the answer to your question, I do know how to get in touch with the appropriate staff member to assist you in the process of doing business with Metro. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Olga. And hopefully some of you can attend those upcoming events. So let's go ahead and move right along to our next panelist, Ms. Carmen Bermudez, Southern California Metropolitan Water District. So Carmen serves as the Contract Compliance Accountability Administrator and Small Business Certification Officer for the Business Outreach Section at Metropolitan Water District. Metropolitan Water District is the nation's largest water wholesaler, serving 19 million Southern California residents. So Carmen, take it away.
Thank you, Danielle, and thank you to the staff who took the time, energy, and the knowledge to put this virtual conference together. It's not easy, but a special thank you to Sandy Cajas for having Metropolitan participate in this business conference. I wanted to give you a little background about Metropolitan, who we are, before I go into the questions. We are the nation's largest wholesaler of water. Yes, I said the nation's. Our service area includes 6 counties, beginning at the Ventura County line, all the way to San Diego County. We are a consortium of 26 member agencies that purchase our water for the cities in their regional area. Metropolitan, I love this part, we provide water to 19 million Southern Californians in a 5,200 square mile radius. Metropolitan has a 1 trillion regional economy with about 500 million annually in construction and obtaining services and goods. We import our water from Northern Sierra and the Colorado River and invest in local projects. Metropolitan owns and operates an extensive water system, including the Colorado River Aqueduct, 16 hydroelectric facilities, 9 reservoirs, 819 miles of large-scale pipes, and these pipes are huge, and 5 water treatment plants. Okay, we can go into the question. I was asked about Metropolitan's certification process as well as our contract compliance accountability program, which is really an interesting part of our business outreach. As you may know, for small business owners, there is not a one-stop shop for your company to register for one agency or city. Every agency you are seeking to do business with has their own small business certification process. So be sure that you want to do business with that agency. To begin with, on our system, can you change the slide? Oh, there's our website, www.mwdh2o.com. That's the small letter O. Okay, change the slide. Okay, this is going to go a little bit into our registration process. As you know, we use the Planet Bid system, but to get you started, it is a free online system. It takes about 30 minutes to register. You will need your tax documents from 2017, 18, and 19. Some agencies have you upload your tax documents. We do not, but there is a disclaimer at the end of the process of creating your profile that everything you entered is true and correct. Now, how do we use, who do we know is a small business owner? So Metropolitan uses the SBA, or Small Business Administration, NAICS codes. The NAICS codes are the table of business size standards. And these 6 digits, and I want you to pay attention, there's 6-digit codes that many of you will select to get certified under. It provides the dollars and the manufacturing thresholds of your company. Okay, let's go to the next slide because it's going to show you some samples of our certification process. This is what our homepage looks like. And highlighted in yellow is doing business with us. You can pick up a lot of information about our bidding invitations. There's so much information about our business outreach program, incentives, and so forth. So besides going there for certification, you need to look at our whole program. Go ahead and hit on the next slide, please. Okay, when you click on that, there's going to be a menu that will come down, and you're going to click on New Vendor Registration. Go ahead to the next slide. Now, this is what it looks like when you begin your registration or your profile. You're going to create a username and password. And I want to make sure you understand this. There are a lot of agencies currently using the Planet Bids portal. So your username and password will be unique for Metropolitan. Okay. So each blue tab at the top that you're looking at, it's also highlighted in yellow, is a new set of questions when you click on it. But I wanted to make sure you understand the difference in some of the codes that you're going to be selecting. On the third slide, on the third tab there, it says classification and licenses. These are 5-digit codes that we use called NIGP category codes that tell us about your service and products. And you can select as many as you want of these codes, because when we look for bids, we'll type in a buzzword and out comes your particular company's service or product description. The other thing about it is very unique to Metropolitan. We use those codes in our, as I mentioned, in our bids. And so if that code is in your profile, you automatically get that bid directly sent to you. And you can also use our website to search for other bids. We go back as far as 6 years. The last blue tab says small business certification. Now I want you to be aware that we have about 20,000 businesses in our database. Some of them have expired, but there's about a little more than 4,300 small businesses that are certified. And when you click on yes, there'll be a new group of questions, but I wanted to make sure you understand this. Our large prime contractors and our professional consultants also use the database. So they create a profile, pick their category codes, but they don't click on that last button that says small business certification, but they use the database. You will click on that, click yes, and that's where you'll be entering your tax documents, your gross annual receipts. Okay, let's go back to the previous 2 slides. Next one, up again. One more. Okay. The registration process will take you, as I said, 30 minutes, and it takes me less than 24 hours to turn it around to get it approved if you qualify. So you'll get that answered quickly. Metropolitan does have incentives for the small business owner if you're bidding on one of our jobs. There's also a 5% scoring preference if you are in our service area. And this is really a plus for the small business owner. So you get a small business certification, 5% incentive, and another 5% incentive if you're in our service area. It was mentioned by Donetta that the Department of General Service has reciprocity with, I believe she said, 30 agencies. We do accept their certification, but we want you in our database, because who uses the small business database? Our procurement buyers, our internal staff, our primes and consultants use this database. They don't see information concerning your financials, but they do see what services and products you provide. So you need to get in our database. I won't go into the various levels of procurement dollars, but you can read that on our information page as well. Currently during this pandemic, I just want to give you a real quick tip. I talked with our procurement officers. We're looking for PPE products that are unique, and services such as cleaning and sanitized mobile units that can clean a workspace quickly. So I just wanted to give you that tip. Okay, let's go down to the next 2 slides, I believe, where it starts with CCAP. Next. And one more. Okay, now this program I love to talk about because I have become, the previous one, I have become the Contract Compliance Accountability Administrator, and our board of directors established our small business program back in 2001. The importance to develop a program that promotes businesses and economic development by providing goods and professional services and contracting opportunities to small, regional, and disabled veteran businesses was their commitment. MWD established a small business and DVBE goals. We do not use a good faith effort, and you need to understand what that is. So look it up. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but what it means is that agencies secure the use of subcontractors, but often don't track the usage. In the beginning, when our small business program was created, the board established an 18% small business and DVBE goal for contracts over $100,000 that were won by a non-small business owner. Okay, so then about 3 years ago, we captured some information over the years through our Contract Compliance Accountability Program that they were actually hitting over that 18%. So they changed it to 25%. And believe it or not, many of them are now hitting 30% and more. So please note that I do not monitor the small businesses and DVBEs that are used by procurements under a certain dollar amount. These are just contracts over $100,000. The CCAP system I use is by Planet Bids. That's our platform, and it has set us apart from many other agencies. But I want to make sure that you hear this. In our construction contracts, they have a mandatory goal of small businesses, the certified small businesses. However, in our professional consultant agreements, they have a participation goal to use sub-consultants because many of the agreements are on call or a needed basis by Metropolitan. So we're driving the contract. The system has been set up to create reports regarding the use of subcontractors for construction and professional consultant agreements, which I provide to our managers as well as to our board of directors. But I wanted to give you an example. Go ahead to the next slide. I provide fiscal reports, and I'm still working on the one from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. I have monitored a total of 85 agreements totaling about $109 million, and more than $4 million of those dollars went to sub-consultants. I'm monitoring 12 large construction projects in the amount of $243 million, and more than 19 million have been given to subcontractors. This report tells our story that Metropolitan is meeting that 25% goal of using small businesses. Because of Planet Bids module, our CCAP program has been transparent and accountable to meeting that 25% goal of small businesses and DVBEs. It is the commitment from our board of directors and our staff. Just one last point. I want to point out that Planet Bids, who is a certified small business, has won our contract for services that includes in our module we use for business outreach, bid management, vendor management, and contract management. And kudos to Planet Bids because they have won other contracts with many agencies and many city agencies as well. Thank you. Go ahead to go to the last slide. I believe that may give me the participant. Nope, doesn't give them my email address, so we can get that at the end.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carmen. And that was a great transition to our final panelists. We are running just a few minutes behind, folks, so please stick with us. We still have two great speakers after the panel is over, so please hang on with us. And we might need to start the matchmaking just a little bit late, but just to let you know, we're trying to get through everyone, give everyone their time. And we are wrapping up here with our final panelists. So we have Arpi Zavian from Planet Bids. So that was a great transition. Arpi co-founded Planet Bids in 1998, a certified WBE and SBE corporation with the vision of streamlining the procurement process and contracting processes of government agencies. So today, Planet Bids provides cloud-based, award-winning, and innovative suite of e-procurement modules known as the Planet Bids system to the public sector that are user-friendly and cost-effective with unique configurable characteristics. And Arpi, your question is, what strategic advice would you give a contractor to have better visibility and access to government contracts in procurement platforms such as Planet Bids?
Well, good morning, everyone. So before I formally introduce Planet Bids to you and the services that we provide, and I wanted to also thank Sandy and her staff for taking on this challenge of not foregoing the conference in person and to hold it virtually. I know how much time and effort has gone into it to make this a success. So thank you for that. So hopefully Planet Bids doesn't need an introduction. So if you want to bring on the next slide, Danielle. Doesn't need a formal introduction. As you heard, many agencies here that are part of, that are on the panelists have told you how they're using the Planet Bids system, better known as the PB system. That it has been it's a proven system that's trusted, reliable, and easy to use for the past 2 decades. So, you know, this year, what we started this year was very exciting. It still is. We still have a positive outlook into what's coming. We're celebrating 20 years of excellence in what we do. Back in 2000, when I co-founded the company, and you know, many of you know this, with my better half, my business partner and life partner, Alan, you know, we really, the mission and the vision was to bring together the public and private procurement staff and the vendor contractor community to bridge the gap between those two entities with a user-friendly, flexible, reliable, and cost-effective solution that is backed up by excellent customer service. So today, that mission and vision really hasn't changed from the early days. We've remained true to our DNA as we have transformed the industry that we serve, as we have revolutionized the way procurement certification has been done in the past the past 2 decades. As we remain, we continue to remain passionate and committed to the industry that we serve. So we have a clear understanding of the needs of the agencies that are here today and using our system, and we're very clear on the role that we play because it's extremely important, as you heard. They're depending on our solutions to be available day in, day out, to ensure that we always have a win-win-win across all of the stakeholders. And there's quite a bit of stakeholders, so it's not just the procurement staff. It's the vendors and contractors that are using the system, the small businesses, the women-owned. I understand it. We ourselves, like Carmen mentioned, we ourselves are certified through the system that we are facilitating at Metropolitan Water District, as well as Port of Long Beach Transit. So we've gone through the certification process using our system. So I totally understand the needs and the challenges that go in to do business with government. And so we are very proud to say that the solutions that we're delivering there's excellent results, as you've already heard. So looking at the future, again, we're very, very excited with what's coming next as we get close to delivering our new set of platforms. So we're very excited. They've already made their debut with some of the agencies are sort of using it on in beta mode now. But one of the things that I'm very, very excited about, so now unfortunately I cannot give you a sneak peek, but one of the concepts that we're working through with some agencies demographically that are close together. We've done that with, for instance, the California State University, the Chancellor's Office, which is in Long Beach, is the concept of regional procurement platform, where it will allow vendors to be able to go into one regional platform and be able to find opportunities along with sub-bid opportunities. So I'm very excited for what's coming next year, especially once the pandemic is over. Next slide, please. Okay, so mentioned this a few times already. We're celebrating 20 years of excellence. So in those years, collectively, we've through the system, we facilitated over $42 billion sourced. So that means that over $42 billion has bid through our system, and that includes goods, professional services, as well as construction. So and construction is very, very unique, and I'll kind of sort of circle back to that, the importance of that. You heard it from Kelly, as well as Carmen and Metropolitan Water District, how important it is to look at the differences between professional services as well as construction projects and all the opportunity there is set aside for small businesses or minorities. But collectively, over 300 agencies in California are on our platform. But again, going back to the 42 billion source, of course, in the early days, when you take that 42 and you divide it by 20 years, it's going to come to an average of 2 billion. But of course, in the early days, when we only had a handful of clients, of course, that value of this coming to our system was a lot less. In more recent years, it's more closer. I would say that at any given time, we have close to 3 billion that is being that's bidding to our system amongst all of the agencies that are using the system. So here in California, we are the leaders in what we do. I'm proud to say that in this golden state, that's the dominant state. I like to believe. So we have over 300 agencies, not just only public agencies like Metropolitan Water District, Long Beach, Long Beach Transit, Port of Long Beach, City of Long Beach, the California State Universities, but also we have some private entities that are using the system. So going back to what Jennifer was saying, being a prime, we also, the fact that we have a lot of primes using our system, they're actually using the system at the project level, which are high profile projects. It could be that they're in maybe 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, in some cases in the billions of dollars. We had a project about 10 years ago down in San Diego. It was called the Greenbuild Project, where it was a joint venture between two huge construction firms, actually 5 altogether, that compromised of building a LEED certified new terminal. And they used our system in order to procure the subcontracting opportunity. And that was extremely successful. And so they started to, as they started to get more projects awarded to them, because they basically, everybody that was involved was winning. They won a lot of awards for that. And so not only, like Carmen said, they met the 18 or 20% local and small business requirements, or DBE, but they actually exceeded it. So they started to use that model into other projects that they received. And as a matter of fact, when they were bidding for projects, they said that they will use the PlanAbit platform in order to meet those requirements. So that's something that that you should be aware of, that there are private sector construction firms using it to place sub-bid ads, or to do contracting, or to put out opportunities for specific construction projects. So there's currently over 500,000 vendors, contractors, and that numbers are growing because, again, we're not only in California, but we're in about 20 states, but more dominant in California. So there's distinct, 500,000 vendors, contractors that are using the system. I would say that I don't have, and I apologize for this, but I don't have, because of the numbers are going up all the time, but there's about a good 8% that's certified along other agencies, along with Metropolitan Water District, Port of Long Beach, that are certified small businesses in the system. And this last number, I kind of, wanted to just bring to your attention. Over 2.6 million electronic bids have been received flawlessly through the system. So a lot of bids going on, a lot of, very efficient. Especially one of the first things that happened when the pandemic hit was that all of our agencies that were using the system were ready. They were ready to go virtual because they didn't have to worry about bids coming in by paper. It was already coming in through the system. And we have actually a whole slew of new agencies that were knocking on our door to get onto the system. So next slide, please. So to the question that Danielle asked me, I'm going to answer it right after this. So here's a sampling of some of the clients that are on our system. So again, all kinds of state, local municipalities, cities and counties. Our neighboring city of Long Beach has been our client since early 2000. We have large scale cities such as city of San Diego, city of Anaheim. So I kind of listed some of the cities that may be regionally close to some of the participants that are here with us today. On the transportation side, of course, we've got Long Beach Transit, Port of Long Beach, Port of Los Angeles, and then there's a whole story behind Port of LA, but we're very proud and happy to have them come on board after many years. And interestingly enough, they just conducted a $50 million project flawlessly on our system just about literally a month ago. And I'll sort of talk a little bit about the importance of why those kinds of high profile projects are important to the small business community. Of course, we've got Metrolink, airports. I mentioned the educational system, California State University. We've got all of the 23 campuses that are on the system. More on the construction side, we're running the pre-qualification, or we're facilitating the pre-qualification process. So unlike Metropolitan Water District or Port of Long Beach that have they're using our business certification to certify the small businesses, we've got the California State University, the capital planning, design, and construction, as well as other community colleges like Build LACCD, which have this is the third round of, I believe, $6 billion worth of bond money. They're using our system to put out those bids. But a lot of those community colleges, California State University, some cities use our business certification to pre-qualify for construction bids. So that's part of the system as well. A lot of K-12 unified school districts, and then of course water districts, utilities. So there's a sampling of that. So
Thank you so much for all of your insight and sharing the 20-year history of Planet Bids and all the great clients that you're working with to provide these services.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here today. So I know we're kind of getting close to time. So I just want to sort of, can you, Danielle, go back to the slide right before? So just wanted to touch on a few things in terms of, you know, how to use the system effectively. So one slide before, actually, and I'll do it very quickly. So really the first step, I know Carmen touched on it. When you go to register, don't go to planetbids.com. So if you're not already registered with one entity, hopefully many of you are, make sure that you go through, like, you know, Metropolitan Water District's website or City of Long Beach's website or the Port of Long Beach's website, and then, you know, click on how to do business, and then you'll go to the vendor portal. You don't have to create a profile in order to see the bids that are going on. So the system is transparent. You'll be able to look and see what it entails. But the minute you want to become a participant, you're going to have to create a profile. So once you create a profile, make sure you get the email notification that you have a successful registration. So if you don't, look at your spam folder, make sure Planet Bids is whitelisted. And then if you have any questions, please contact us directly. One of our support specialists will be able to help you. The other thing is, you know, make sure that once you register, your profile is up to date, your email is up to date, your categorization is up to date. And then look at this was a question that was brought up, attend the job walks, or, you know, where are the job walks? So when you look at our system, any agency that's using our system and they list the bids, there is a tab called the prospective bidders list, and you'll see who the current participants are. You'll see if it's a construction project, who the primes are, who the subs are, who have downloaded the documents, who the suppliers are. And if you are certified or you have self-designated yourself being a small business or a local business, primes are going to see that. So that's a great networking list for you to look at. So make sure you look at the prospective bidders list. On the bid detail, make sure you look at the job walk, when it is, where it is, how you can attend it. These days it's done through Zoom very effectively. So again, to Olga's point, there's a lot of events that are also posted on our website, you know, for outreach events to meet the primes. But definitely utilize the prospective bidders list as you're networking to contact those primes and tell them what kind of services you provide. Because again, like Carmen mentioned, they do need to get in touch with you in order to meet those requirements. So one final thing I'll say, take a look at VendorLine. It's a premier service that we have. If you want to facilitate growth, if you want to have optimum business exposure, so it's your one-stop shop to do business with the, you know, 250, 300, you know, public-private agencies that are using our system in California to get your registration in with all of them with a click of a button. You can be listed in the vendor directory so primes and others can find you. Streamlined registration, manage profile easily across all of these agencies because that is a task. It is free to register with these agencies one-on-one, but there is a nominal fee for the VendorLine service if it is for you. We plan on holding a virtual a webinar in the future in conjunction with Sandy sometime before the end of the year, so look out for that. But
and
again,
we'll
it
get
is
that
very
information out to everyone. We'll definitely
Yes.
get that information out so you can register online. At this time, we're going to say thank you to our panelists so that we make sure we have enough time for our other speakers to present and have our panelists get a chance to get over to the matchmaking as well. So thank you, Arpi.
Great.
Thank you to our amazing panelists. Thank you to our amazing panelists of I'm going to say Kelly's word, inclusionistas. Love that, Kelly, for sharing that word with us. And at this time, I want to remind all of our attendees, we do have 2 additional speakers as well as the online matchmaking where buyers and suppliers will have the opportunity to connect. Just like in-person matchmaking, suppliers as well as buyers, please be ready to meet at your scheduled appointment times. They begin as early as 10:30 this morning at match.eventdex.com. Be sure to click on that and get to your meeting appointment if you have one scheduled at any time today between 10:30 and 12:30. Next, I would like to introduce our featured speaker, Kirby Hays, CEO of Hal Hays Construction. As a second-generation family-owned and minority-owned business, Hal Hays has amassed a number of accolades and decades actually, of experience. So attendees, get your pens and paper ready, or your keyboard and Word doc open to jot down notes as Kirby shares with us what the coronavirus has taught the construction industry. Kirby, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank Sandy and the rest of the team for allowing me to speak at the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. What an honor it is. I've got a lot of ground to cover in about 8 minutes, and so I'll go ahead and I'll get started. Real quickly, my name is Kirby Hays. I am President and Chief Executive Officer at Hal Hays Construction. We are a large minority-owned family business, a construction company out of Riverside, serving all of California. And so we cover everything from heavy civil, building dams and bridges and military airfields on one end of the spectrum, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, building brand new ground up state-of-the-art buildings, aerospace facilities, robotics, hospital clean rooms, you name it, and really everything in between. So we're talking about facility maintenance, we're talking about energy and renewables. And so so that's really Hal Hays Construction. We cover, like I said, we cover all of California. We were Southern California Edison's 4-time Minority Supplier of the Year, spanning from 2015 to 2018. We were Southern California Minority Development Council's 3-time Supplier of the Year within Southern California. And then in 2018, we went on to be nominated and win the National Supplier of the Year for NMSDC. And so we are a large business adjusting to life in 2020 during a global pandemic, and I'm here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what we've learned as a company, as an industry, and where I believe that we're headed. So if you'll go ahead and go to the next slide. You know, the basis of what I was asked to speak about was what we've learned about COVID what the construction industry has learned about from COVID-19. And so, you know, retracing and obviously, you know, everybody's still learning, but going back to when things really started to ramp up or ramp down in March of this year. You know, the guidelines started coming out from CDC, and you know, everybody started wondering what was going on. People and occupations were being deemed essential and non-essential. And you know, we had retail workers and other profession and construction that was deemed essential, and then we had other things like you know, salon workers and gyms and other things that were deemed non-essential. And so what's nice from a construction perspective, obviously, is that you know, very early out of the gate we were deemed essential. And so, you know, early on there was a lapse as far as, okay, is this kind of sub industry, are home builders essential? Are you know, our retail is transportation essential? And so early on it was deemed all essential. But you know, what that has caused us to do as a construction company is really look at our clients more than anything. You know, we go through and, you know, when everything first started getting shut down in March of this year, our bid list literally shrunk from on average having anywhere from 15 to 25 ongoing open bids with different clients. And I think at one point in late March, we only had 2 bid opportunities on the board. And so, you know, that all passed, you know, everything calmed down, and you know, the bid list is back up to about 80% of what it was, which is manageable for us. But again, you know, it really causes you to think. It causes you to think as a company as far as, you know, if this continues to get progressively worse, if guidelines continue to get more stringent, how will my business survive? And so how we've positioned ourselves and what this has caused us to position ourselves even more for is again, keying on that word essential, right? And so as we are an essential business, we're looking around and saying, okay, well, which of our clients are essential? Which of our clients fulfill basic human needs? Obviously, as you look around different industries or sub-industries within the construction industry, we're seeing it now. Retail has slowed down, home building has slowed down, a lot of hospitality has slowed down. But what hasn't slowed down is those sub-industries that really fulfill the basic needs of humans. And so, whether we have a pandemic or not, we still need to keep the lights on. We still need to keep the power running. We still need to be able to drink water. We still need to be able to flush our toilets. We still need to be able to turn on the oven and have gas to cook food. It could go on, but really, as a construction company, as a large business in Southern California, that is what we've been evaluating for the last several years in anticipation of another recession, another depression, or now a pandemic. Is as we look to build a sustainable business that could weather any of those things, what clients is it that we would want to align ourselves with to be able to help weather that storm? And so, if you're in construction, or even if you're not in construction, that's what I would challenge you to do, is to look at your backlog, to look at your clientele and say, hey, if this were to get progressively worse, would our current backlog be able to carry us through what we have in front of us? So that's really the long term of Hal Hays Construction and the construction industry. Is I think it's caused a lot of contractors and a lot of builders, a lot of design firms to really evaluate what industries they're in and within the construction industry and see if they need to pivot. Additionally, it's been well publicized, but the SBA incentive and stimulus programs have been absolutely critical. Hal Hays Construction was a recipient of both the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, as well as the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so those are things that, even if you think they may not apply to you, I would highly recommend looking into. Unfortunately, now the PPP is closed for applications. I think it closed in August 8th or 9th, somewhere around there. But as far as I know, the EIDL is still open. And so that is kind of multi-tier, and you can get up to a $10,000 grant for that initially, and then it actually opens you up to a 30-year low interest loan with interest rates somewhere in the range of 1%. So I would highly recommend that. Even if you have current debt, your likely rate isn't as low as 1%. We literally took some of that money and paid down our line of credit. We paid off some of our building that we're in currently. And so, with that being long-term debt, it looks a lot better on your debt to equity sheet. And so I would highly recommend that. And then again, being familiar with the current CDC guidelines, I think that affects everybody, no matter what industry you're in, as well as trying to be on the leading edge of a lot of the telecommunication software. So Zoom, Skype, WebEx, we've all used those. And I would say, as working from home, as people like to say, the new normal and everything that goes along with that, being familiar with the new technology to try to remain on the leading edge of that. In closing, I wanted to include one last slide here, and that's information on the EIDL loan. Again, PPP is currently closed, but there's depending on how much you keep up with politics, it looks like another round may be opened up in the future. So I would highly recommend you guys to keep up with that. Again, Hal Hays Construction received a lot of money from this, and I didn't think that we would be qualified for it based on revenue, but it's actually based on your number of employees, which is important. So even if you're a large business, you're probably still eligible for this. So go get the EIDL loans, reevaluate your client base that you have, and make it pandemic proof. And if you're not there, feel free to contact me off to the side. I want to thank Sandy for this special invitation, and I want to thank the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for this great opportunity. Thank you.
All right, well, I guess I'm on. So welcome everyone, and you can see the slides here. I want to say for those of you guys who might need to jump off before you go into your matchmaking session, I have an event here in a few weeks, so we're going to go more of a deep dive into this. It's going to be a free 5-day workshop. So as you listen to the presentation here today, we're going to share some information at the end of the event. But also you're going to be getting a link, I think, from Sandy and her team on that event. So I encourage you to join us to really, it is called the Grow the Flow Challenge, because we want to help you get more opportunities in your pipeline as a small business. And so I like to start off by thanking Sandy and her team and the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for inviting me here today. Lots of great input that you've taken in, and I'm glad you're still here with me today. So we could go ahead and go to the next slide, please. We're going to be talking about marketing to government buyers. So my name is Carrol Bernard. I am a coach, trainer, and co-founder of Govology.com. So Govology is an online education platform to help businesses understand the procurement process, how to get involved. We have a lot of training on the federal side of things, but also things that pertain to state and local contracting as well. And the great thing about our business model is that even if you go to our website and you see that the average course online is about $75, we have partnerships with a lot of agencies and entities out there. So a lot of times you can access it free through some of our partnerships. For example, we have a partnership with LA County, and we have about 5 partnerships throughout the state of California. So if you want to explore education in the government marketplace, just feel free to give me an email. My contact information is going to be at the end of the presentation. But just a little bit really quickly on my background. Over the last 20 years, I've spent about half of the time working on the buyer side. So I was a buyer at the city level, in the Navy, with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And then the other half of that time I spent as working with small businesses directly, trying to help them get contracts through my role at the Small Business Administration, and also as an entrepreneur. I'm also what I consider a GovCon entrepreneur. So I also go after contract opportunities through my own business, and it's been the primary way I've built my business over the last 5 years. So what you're going to hear in this particular presentation is best practices from over 20 years of all of this experience that I've collected from being a buyer, helping small businesses, and also being a small business GovCon entrepreneur myself. Next slide, please. Okay, so first off, I really believe that marketing success begins with good market research. And this is really about getting the facts. To make it a priority to know the who, what, when, where, how, why, and how of the agencies and the organizations that you want to do business with. And I will say this, there's a lot of information out there. So you may read some information on the internet about, hey, here's the process. But there's so many different processes. And what I want you to take away is that there's no one blueprint for success. You've heard some of our speakers today talk about that every agency is a little bit different. Just like that, every business is a little bit different in their government contracting journey. So your business as a janitorial services company may be different than your journey as a construction contractor. And so what is imperative is that not only did you get the facts about the procurement process, but how does that line up with your business? And then how do you develop effective sales and marketing to go out and then win business with government agencies? So I'm going to share with you, next slide, please, some facts revealing questions. Go ahead to the next slide. All right, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because I want to get you all the way to the end of the presentation. But here's fact revealing question number 1. So what is the mission of the agency or the agencies that you want to sell to? So you've heard that mission today. Some of the presenters talked about their mission. It's important to know that, to know where your products and services might fit within that overall mission. What are they currently buying? Or maybe what are they not buying to do their job? So these are one of 2 scenarios you're going to find yourself in. Either they're buying something to do their job, and you're going to propose on to maybe replacing that something that they're buying, or maybe you have some new solution that they don't even know about yet that's going to help them be able to do their job better. So these are typically the two buying situations that you're going to find yourself selling into. Another important question to help to frame up and shape your marketing and sales processes is, how do they buy solutions similar to those you sell? Are they going out low bid, or are they doing a best value procurement? This is very important. If they're going out low bid, you really don't need to spend a whole lot of time marketing and selling yourself and doing all of these marketing activities, because as long as you are the lowest priced, responsive and responsible contractor, you've got the bid, okay? Now, if they're looking at best value, which they're saying that, hey, low bid is not going to be the sole determining factor of award, well, relationships become a big important piece of your sales and marketing efforts. We've heard some of the panelists also talk about the relationships here. So also, when you start talking with folks, what are their challenges and problems? Because essentially you are providing a solution to their challenges and problems. How do your solutions help them do their job better, faster, easier, and more effective? This is what you want to be able to learn as you're going through this process of discovery. And don't always go in there and just pitch your products and services. You want them to be aware about what you do, but you also want to take a moment to learn about them so that you can actually provide a good solution, because what you might provide might not even actually be a better value, or it might not help them do their job better than what they're already using. And if you discover that, you might just actually go back into your company and say, hey, we need to kind of sharpen our pencils here, or we need to do some things different, evolve, adapt, whatever you need to do to come back in and be of a better value. Also, an important question, what is the dollar range of your average sale historically? That ties into the next question. Next slide, please. What is the size in dollars of the deals that you want to win? The reason why this is important is because at every level of deal, you might have a different process for pursuing it. So there's micro deals under the micro purchase threshold, which differs from every state and local agency and differs even with the federal agency. Small opportunities, which I define as those that are above the micro purchase threshold, but they haven't hit what I call the publicizing requirements. Now, for the federal government, for example, and I'm going to share on the next slide, the publicizing requirements, these are the ones that actually hit the public notification systems. These are the ones that go out on the bid lead systems. And so if you're signed up for a bid leading or a bid matching service, you're going to get those bigger opportunities, but you might not get those smaller and those micro opportunities because there's no requirements for the agencies to publish them. And so what is your strategy on pursuing at that level? Also, what are the competitive thresholds of the agency you want to do business with, and how do they match up with the deals you want to win? So, okay, you've got the agency thresholds, which again are different at each agency. And then there's the size of the deals that you want to win. Are they micro, small, medium, or large? There's a different strategy for each one of those. And are there any exemptions to the competitive process? Well, this would be good to know, right? If you don't have to compete, well, under the micro purchase threshold, you don't have to typically compete, right? But there's also bigger opportunities. One example is in the federal government. There's an 8A program. That program is mostly for minority business owners, but it's not exclusive to minority business owners, but there's this presumed social disadvantage. And so with this 8A program, if you actually get in it, it's a certification program like the ones maybe you've heard talked about here today. But if you get into this certification program, you could literally get sole source contracts with the federal government for up to $6 million. All you do is establish that relationship. And if they want to use you on a procurement, they can go directly to you and completely circumvent the competition requirements. So this is also another important thing for you to know. Next slide, please. All right, so this is, please ignore some of all of this. There's a lot of information here, but really what I wanted to highlight is that this is particularly the federal purchasing threshold, okay? Now, again, it differs by state and local agency. But what I wanted to make you aware of here, and I put a little graphic up on the screen here from like these green, blue, red, and black. And I kind of took this out off of the ski trail model, right? You go on a slope, you know, before you going in, what you're going to be expecting. So down at the bottom here, and so let's just talk about federal procurement thresholds. Right now, the federal procurement threshold is typically $10,000 by policy, but because we're in an emergency situation, that is currently $20,000. What that means is the government has the ability to just basically buy things off of the purchase card without competition for up to $20,000. Now, there are some exceptions with services and construction, so you might want to also know where those thresholds are for services and construction. Typically, they don't bid these contracts. They just say, hey, you got what we want, we're going to get it. Purchase card swipe, that's it. As you go up to the next level, we start to talk about those opportunities that are between the micro purchase threshold and the agency's publicizing requirement. Again, these are some of the things that are not seen through the agency's bid portals and bid lead services. Sometimes they may be, every agency is different again. So for the federal government, for example, they don't require that their contracting officers publish these bids. So there's this range anywhere between $10,000 to $25,000, where basically they just say, well, just display the opportunity in a public place. Well, that public place, again, by each federal agency might be different. Maybe they put it on a website, but maybe they put it on the bulletin board in their office and say, hey, that's a public place. But really, the policy typically here for under these acquisitions under 25,000 is to get 3 quotes. So if you were to basically create a relationship with the end user, the agency, or whoever wanted to buy what you have to sell, they have your quote, they go through contracting because maybe it goes over the micro purchase threshold, and then contracting says, okay, well, get me 2 more quotes. And then they go out and get 2 quotes to meet their requirements. And then a contract is typically awarded from there. Going up a level. So in the federal government, all opportunities that are going out to the open market over $25,000 must be advertised at beta.sam.gov. That's currently what the government refers to, the federal government, as their required point of entry. So if you go to beta.sam.gov, there's a drop down. If you click on contract opportunities, that's where they post anything in the open market over $25,000. But there's a caveat to this too. So there's a lot of opportunities that are not inside of, well, I'll say it like this. There's contract vehicles that there's a lot of activity happening within, 5-year contract vehicles with the government. And so I'll share with this illustration here in a second on the acquisition pyramid, but those are not also required to be posted in the open market. So you don't see those opportunities. And then as you go up the scale here, it gets a little bit more challenging, but everything above $25,000 is required if it's open market acquisition to be published on this beta.sam.gov website. And so if you look at the higher you go up this spectrum, the harder that it gets for you to win these contracts as a small business. So my recommendation is to start in the green and the blue and work your way up from there. Next slide, please. All right, move through quickly. So another few questions. Where do they solicit quotes, bids, and proposals within their purchasing thresholds? I just talked about that. Who working inside the agency will most benefit from your solution? So this is the person that really you want to create a relationship with if that in fact is a best value procurement that you're selling into. Create relationships. Sometimes these are the end users that are basically out there doing their job. If you can connect with them and build a relationship with them, then things typically start to take shape from there. And number 11 is how important is it to develop relationships in order for you to win opportunities with your target agencies? Is it very important or not so important? So again, go back to the question about, is the agency buying by low bid or by best value? And that should give you your answer to A or B there. Let's go to the next slide. All right, I made up my own little successory here. So basically I say acceleration is the moment that you gain clarity on the people and the policies that shape the buying processes and align your own people, processes, and products for the perfect fit. So it's like that piece of the puzzle. When you understand how the government is buying and the processes they use, and you can organize your people and processes, it's a really great fit for you. And this is where you're going to start to accelerate the win rate and the opportunities flowing into your pipeline. Next slide, please. All right. I believe as a small business, the simplest way to sell to government is to start small. Remember the green and the blue spectrum there. Go wide, meaning that you can start local, and a lot of you, it's a great place to start with some of the local organizations that even you heard participate here today, because you can get more connected with them. A lot of them like to support local businesses, and so it's really great to start local. But if you can sell nationwide, sell nationwide. You can get bid notification services that is going to basically give you all of these leads that get actually posted from all over the country. Number 3, build relationships. And number 4, influence the demand. And what I say here is this: if you can successfully build relationships and influence demand, everything else will usually fall into place behind it. And what I mean by that is that while you are out there getting registered with the city, state, and local vendor portals, it's really not possible to do it to all the agencies across the United States. There's something like 90,000 agencies, city, state, federal, local, ports, counties, school districts, spending roughly an aggregate of $1.5 trillion. So do you basically go out to every one of these agencies across the US and register and go through all the certification process? No, and it's not what I do either. What I do basically is I identify who could basically benefit or have value in what we do. I work to connect and make a direct connection with them. And if they like what we do, first of all, I learn from them what they're doing right now. And then if I feel that I can provide them with a value, I share with them what we can offer them. And then if they like what we do, they say, great, well, we want to buy what you sell. If it's below the micro purchase threshold, they can just basically swipe their credit card and we're done. If it has to go above that micro purchase threshold and go through procurement, then there may be some things I need to do on my side. They may say, hey, you need to get registered with LA County. This is a perfect example of how we got the business with LA County. I reached into a manager there, a program manager, shared with them what we did. They liked what we did. They said, okay, let's do this. They had to go and get budget approvals and everything else. And then when it came time to get the bid, they said, okay, well, we need you now to go and register with LA County. And so I did. But basically, I did it after I kind of had the deal done. So what I'm saying is basically go ahead and register locally if you're local. But when you look at all of the opportunities across the United States, if you just focus on making the connection, building the relationships, and influencing the demand in your favor, everything else will fall into place behind that. You don't need to have every certification in every state if your product or service is really of a true value to that end user. All right, next slide. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I know we're kind of short on time. You'll probably have the slides, but these are some of the people. I always advocate to build a mastermind alliance that consists of end users in the agency, department level decision makers, contracting and purchasing specialists, industry leaders. These are like insiders in the companies that are actually doing business with some of the agencies that you want to do business with. Agency liaisons, like some of the folks that you've heard here from today. There's also government funded resource partners that you should probably definitely know about. One of them is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And there's a number of PTACs located in California. They get funding from the Department of Defense to help contractors actually understand and move through the process of doing business with federal, state, and local agencies. They also have a really nice bid notification service so that if you want to get signed up with it, it's usually free or at a nominal cost. But it'll scan organizations all across the United States to bring these opportunities into your email box once a day, and then you can bid on them from there. Also, the Minority Business Development Agency, a really great resource. The Department of Transportation has regional small business transportation resource centers all over the country. Google all of these and go explore and see what they can offer you. The SBA, we heard from the SBA this morning, and the 3 C's. You know, one of the things is that they fund partners to help them with the counseling, the small business development centers, the women's business centers, the veterans business outreach centers, and SCORE are just some of them. So check out these resources. And then last but not least is subject matter experts. And these are the coaches, the consultants, the attorneys, the accountants that understand the government marketplace and can really help to give you some specific knowledge based specifically to your business. Next slide, please. Okay, 2 roadblocks and how to overcome them. So one roadblock, we kind of alluded to it today, is just, clarity on the big picture and then invisible opportunities, okay? So really quickly, we're going to talk about those. No, next slide. One thing that you need to understand, and now this is like more of a federal agency pyramid, but every agency will have their different hierarchy of procurement. Now, when you get registered, you're here at this bottom level called the open market. And so you're sitting there and you're waiting for opportunities to flow down. But if you're not looking in the right areas, or maybe if they're going under a certain dollar value, you might not even see those. But there might be also higher up level contracts that the agency has in place. That's the place where they got to go to get their services if they already have an existing contract. So for example, under emergency services contracts, as mentioned here today, a lot of agencies already have contracts in place with certain vendors, so that if there is an emergency, they can go quickly to those vendors and start the process of getting what they need. Now, if you're not one of those vendors, then the way that you go up the pyramid is then you develop a relationship with the vendor that has actually got that master contract with the agency. So that's typically where they go first. The next place that they go down is more into this mid-level tier down here. For the federal government, a lot of times that's a GSA contract or the GSA schedules program. But for state and local agencies, some of them may use a similar format. U.S. Communities is one that's used by a lot of state and local agencies. It's kind of like a government-wide procurement source. And so these agencies, if they don't already have it on their own contract, they can go to this mid-level before they go down to the open market. So then finally, it comes down to where you're maybe sitting right now, which is in the open market. And so if it doesn't get procured at one of those higher levels, then you may have an opportunity to bid on that if it gets publicized, right? So this is just a big picture of where you want to understand where the flow is going through the pyramid and how do you position yourself in these layers of the pyramid. And there's really only 2 ways. You either get a direct contract at the higher levels, or you partner with somebody who already has a contract and become a subcontractor of those folks. So this is also relevant to every state and local agency typically, although most of what I shared here is on federal side. So next slide. All right, opportunity funnels. So this is just a different way of breaking down what I just shared with you. And I want you to understand that if you're trying to win more opportunities and you're trying to see more opportunities, then you have to unlock more opportunity funnels. Certifications will unlock more opportunities for you on set-asides. The open market funnels, you might already have that one open, but you also need to understand how to basically open up the flow of opportunities that are under the publicizing requirements. Also, there's a prime contractor funnel. We just talked about that. Agency IDIQs, these are just contract vehicles that the agency has at the top of that pyramid. The government wide is the middle. And then also the federal government has what's called reverse auctions. So a lot of contractors struggle because they don't see the big picture. They don't see the full flow of opportunities. So these funnels represent the full flow of opportunities. And typically contractors only has one unlocked. So if you can go to the next slide, please. This is what we're going to be talking about in a special event. It's going to be free. I'm actually doing a 5-day live workshop on September 14th. I believe Sandy and her team is going to be sending out an email. You can also email me if you want to take part in that. So we're going to get a deeper dive into this whole world of opening up these opportunities so that you can grow your flow. Because before you can grow the flow, you have to be able to see the flow. Next slide. So here's my contact information. Again, if you want to email me and get notification about that Grow the Flow challenge that we've got coming up, feel free to do that. But again, I believe that that's going to be sent out to you via email link. So please click on that. I encourage you to join us, and I hope to see you in that challenge. That's all I've got for today. And I'd like to again thank Sandy and her team for bringing me on board, and we'll turn it back over to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. Thank you for your participation and very informative presentation. On behalf of the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank all of our speakers today and everyone who attended our 2020 SoCal Business Development Conference. At this moment, we will go ahead and transition over to the matchmaking, where you will have the opportunity to connect with buyers and suppliers. I have included the link in the chat, so feel free to check it out. Thank you and happy networking.
Sorry, we're late.
Thank you, guys.